The wonders of life got the prettiest side for everyone to enjoy. Standing up close by the Christmas tree, glimmering light, I am right where I wanna be. I will be home for a couple of days, wander around with you. You and me in the cold, thought it'd never be true. Wherever I go, I got you. Oh, I have stopped running, there is no way trying. You better loosen your belt. Drinking hot wine by the fire, don't care of anything else. It's Christmas.
Hello everyone and welcome to day 3 of the 25 Days of Christmas, where we're going to be talking about a Christmas movie or special every day leading up to Christmas. I'm Patricia and I'm here with my sister Carlene.
Hello everyone.
And so today we're going to be talking about another Rankin Bass Christmas special. We talked about Frosty the Snowman yesterday. We're going to be talking about one that came out a few years before. This is the 1964 Rankin Bass Christmas special, which is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. This was the very first Christmas special that they've ever done, and this one is a little bit different. Whereas Frosty the Snowman was traditionally animated, this is done with stop motion. So again, very similar to the last one we talked about. This is based off of a classic song, and it focuses on the life of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, where he was born. He had the shiny red nose. A lot of people thought of him as like a freak of nature, and so they try to cover it up. And we get to see another character by the name of Hermie, who's an elf who wants to be a dentist, and they just see themselves as a bunch of misfits who don't fit into the mold. But then eventually, as you know from the classic song, that Rudolph does eventually help out Santa when there's a foggy Christmas Eve, and his bright nose was able to lead the way towards Christmas. So yes, let's talk about what our thoughts of this are. So what did you think of this special?
I actually really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I love the story of Rudolph. And to be honest with you, I don't know if I remember ever seeing this version when I was a kid.
Okay.
You probably would know that more than I would. She keeps better track of...
Yeah, probably.
But I enjoyed it. I was a little bit surprised. I know that kind of like Frosty, the song...
Yeah.
And the movie go hand in hand. And so, obviously the song talks about how he wasn't allowed to participate in certain things and how he was excluded. But kind of, I didn't maybe remember watching the movie where you could kind of see him really be an outcast and a misfit and uncomfortable because he wasn't accepted. And even by Santa. So, a lot of times, I mean, maybe Santa's depicted in a lot of different ways, but most of the times that I've seen, Santa comes kind of across as a really joyful, happy, very kind of inclusive guy.
Yes.
But in this Santa adaptation, he was a little bit of I don't know.
Yeah, he
not
was
a jerk, obviously, but...
Yeah, he was definitely, very limited to opening up to the fact that, we have a reindeer with a glowing nose. It's like, dude, you use reindeers to fly and you have elves to make your toys.
Yeah, and not only that, there was other moments, too, where he's asked to give his opinion, and he's kind of like, yeah, all right, that's fine. Or, he's just kind of maybe, a little more of a Debbie Downer kind of Santa.
Yeah.
So that was interesting.
Yeah, that is very interesting. And they wouldn't do this depiction of Santa because if the other Rankin Bass specials, such as Santa Claus is Coming to Town, where you get to see the origins of Santa and how much he loves making toys and making children happy. So there's that depiction. There's also another depiction of Santa where he feels unappreciated with the Year Without a Santa Claus, where he's really sick and he feels that kids don't care about him. So yeah, Santa is depicted very differently in all of these specials. So the fact that we have this more jagged Santa was very interesting.
I thought it was interesting. I appreciate that, you're saying, they give us a different Santa, different version of the character.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this Rudolph special. I thought the Rudolph character was cute.
Yes.
But I really also liked the stop motion part of it.
Yes.
I like stop motion.
I really do too.
And even though it's super glitchy because, 1964, like you said.
Yes, this is
it just adds to the charm.
It does. I mean, this is their first stop motion animated special they've ever done. And if you've seen their other ones, like we said, Santa Claus is Coming to Town and The Year Without a Santa Claus, they've actually gotten better and better with their animation. And not only that, if you remember, like looking into the credits and stuff like that, that another studio helped them out, which is called Videocraft, which is a Japanese animated Japanese studio, and they would go off to become Studio Ghibli, which you remember, like Spirited Away and Princess Mononoke and Ponyo. So yeah, they would go off into doing that eventually, which is actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the stop animation. I enjoyed the storyline. You know, it was nice to kind of actually see like Rudolph being a little more ostracized, because when he is now then welcomed back into the fold, you can kind of feel the actual growth for that.
I mean, there was a growth and progression, because we saw him as like a small little reindeer, and then he actually grows up into an adult. And then eventually he comes back and...
Well, an adult is kind of pushing it, because I think it's only like a year.
Yeah, it's been a year, yes.
So he's still a baby. And then they try to like give him a love interest, which I thought was a little bit like, whoa, guys, this is premature. I mean, I know this is the animal kingdom, but...
Exactly.
You know, he's only a year old. Does he really need a girlfriend?
Yeah, Clarice.
Yeah. Another themes we saw, too, that were, like, again, indicative of the time, even with animals, you know, like, the Papa Deer...
Donner.
Yeah, it's not a deer. I'm sorry, reindeer.
Reindeer.
Oh, yeah, reindeer. Okay.
They're still deers.
You know, goes off to try to find and save Rudolph, and tells the wife to stay at home because she's too delicate to like brave.
Yes.
And then like whenever they finally find Rudolph, and there's a scene where like potentially two of the characters die. You know, instead of really grieving or mourning, which is fine. It's a child special. We don't want to like. But instead of the characters kind of spending any focus or energy on that, they're like, well, let's just get the women folk home to make sure they're safe. And it was just like, really, guys, you know, it's damsels in distress kind of thing.
It was the 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there were some other characters mixed up. Like we mentioned earlier, there was Hermie the elf who wants to be a dentist.
Which I liked his character.
Yeah. And I found it to be so funny that there was the head elf. You expect him to be like really jolly. It's like, well, let's make all these toys for Santa, and he's like the gruff one. It's like, you better paint this, Hermie. Why aren't you like the other elves?
Everybody gets a 10-minute break, but not you. And it's just kind of like, you know, like he's like pushing him to be an elf, but then threatening to fire him, which is essentially what he wants. He doesn't want to be a toy elf.
Yeah, he wants to be a dentist. Yeah. And then we have another character, Yukon Cornelius, who wants to find silver and gold. And then there's also...
That was a very interesting character. Like, I don't know. It was a little bit over the top for me.
Especially the scenes in which like he's trying to look for the silver and gold, and then he just licks his pick to see if it actually is silver or gold.
Yeah, that's the weirdest... That was the weirdest thing. And then like they also put like little sound to it. I was like, ew! Like, I do not want to be part of this... You know.
Yeah, I don't want to be part of it either. And then there's like the Gumball, the Yeti looking creature.
That was just hilarious to me, because in every scene that they show this Yeti, he is a different size.
Yeah.
Like the first time they introduce him, he's so large. You don't even see him. Like the reindeer are like smaller than his foot. You know, and then the next time he's a little bit smaller, bigger. Every scene he changes in size.
Yeah, it was pretty inconsistent with the stop motion, I admit. And, you know, pretty sad, too, that Hermie pulled out all of his teeth and he just has nothing but gums.
I know. I felt like that poor Yeti was so misunderstood. The whole story is about misfits and how there's, like, no place where Rudolph can feel like himself.
Yeah.
Or the elf. And yet, like, this poor Yeti, too. Like, this Yeti is probably feeling the exact same thing.
Yeah, I think that they would actually make it a lot better in that storyline, because if you remember in Santa Claus is Coming to Town, you have the Winter Warlock, who's like the misunderstood evil wizard, and then when Santa gives him the choo-choo train, he becomes good. So they actually got better with the storyline over time.
Yeah, I felt definitely like the Yeti was misunderstood.
Yeah. But overall, I think that this is a very nice special, and it's one of the best Rankin Bass specials that they have ever done. It's still a tradition to have Rudolph playing every single year. They air it on CBS every single year. It's been a tradition for decades.
I also enjoy that they're not long.
No, this one is like 45 minutes long.
Yeah, so you can sit and enjoy it, but not feel like overwhelmed by how long it is. Sometimes some Christmas movies or Christmas specials feel too long. Yeah. And like for instance, like the Christmas Story that we were talking about on day one. Obviously it's a movie, so it's different.
Yeah, it's a movie.
The length, but to me it felt a little bit too long for the actual story.
Yeah, again, like we mentioned before, it was just a very basic story, but there was just a lot of stuff.
So fragmented.
Yeah,
and
it
then
was
and then a little bit too long.
Yeah.
Like it felt almost like you're saying, like someone's memory or a dream, you know? So it felt like very fragmented. And then, so the Christmas specials allow you to enjoy like a period piece. Mm-hmm. For whatever, you know, like a time, a moment in time. And then it's 45 minutes, and then you don't feel like, wow.
Yeah, it was like really quick, and you actually got the Christmas spirit all like in a condensed time.
Yeah, I agreed.
All right, so let's rank these. So, how would you rank it? Every year, every few years, or just once and never again?
No, I like the story of Rudolph. I liked how overall I thought it was well done. I like the stop motion part of it. I would watch it every year.
Me too. I would watch this every year. And as for our rating of Santas, I would rate it 3.5 or 4 Santas out of 4.
Yeah.
I mean 5.
I would do 3.5 Santas for sure.
All right then. So that is it for our 25 Days of Christmas Advent podcast. So tune in tomorrow as we talk about another Christmas movie or special. So until then, see ya.
Bye, guys.
Gaze upon the sky, Christmas on my mind, somewhere from a place up high above. There's a song of love traveling afar, seeking us to warm up